Is kind of review. It says use the remainder theorem, which you guys haven't heard yet, to find the remainder when p of x blah 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 is divided by each binomial. So yesterday, remember when we did synthetic division, how did we find the remainder? It was just the last number, right? So that's all we're doing. Synthetic division on the first part. So what do I put in the box? Positive 1, and then 3, 7, negative 2, 6. All right, so add down 3 plus nothing, multiply up, add down
8,
multiply, add, multiply. So the remainder is 14.
nice. Is this a 2-day assignment? Okay, because
The B section is much more in depth. I'm not 100% sure we'll get all the way to 36. So you might have to watch and see.
yeah. I won't be here long.
Yeah, I know your mom told me.
Good. Just making sure.
I was like, yes. No, I'm kidding.
Who's gonna take your kid?
Oh, Sandra is.
Sam's like, I have a kid? That's really what he thought. What? He's so confused. All right, so what goes in the box at number 3? 3, 7, 9, 2, 6.
What?
Oh.
I think you made all yesterday, Lydia, but you're like 5 minutes into today and you already failed. All right, down 3 times negative 2 plus times negative 2.
No, you didn't.
Oh, did you not?
Maybe in your class.
Oh, yeah, I was just talking about in here. Yeah, you probably said it in here sometime. I wouldn't listen.
Oh.
I think we talked about you saying oh a lot. I don't know if you actually said it.
I feel like I haven't said it all that much today.
It's like Alcoholics Anonymous. 2 hours without a...
Wow.
All right, so number 5 says, use the factor theorem to determine, we haven't talked about that yet, whether each binomial is a factor. So how can I tell if, like, let's say 7 is a factor of 348? How can I tell? Divide, and what should happen if it was a factor? It would come out with no remainder, right? So we can tell whether a polynomial is a factor of another polynomial if you divide it and the remainder is 0. So we're going to do the same thing. If the remainder comes out 0, we're going to put yes because it is a factor. If it comes out as anything besides 0, we're going to put no because it's not a factor. Got it?
Got it.
Sure.
Get it, got it?
Get it? Got it.
Okay, number 5. I think there's an inverse relationship between O's and hiccups. Okay, so 1, negative 2.
When Reagan laughs and she breathes in, she goes. I noticed at the swim meet.
Oh, really?
She kept doing that. She'll start laughing and then just have a really deep.
Gulp.
Yeah, it scared me the first time. Me and David just clowned her yesterday for it.
How'd she take it?
She kept laughing.
Oh, okay.
She wouldn't stop laughing.
All right, so here we go. Add down, multiply up, add down.
There is a remainder.
It's like kicking a walrus.
Oh,
That was oddly
Gosh.
specific.
that was far.
Gosh.
Dang.
Special like what?
I'm not wrong.
I think it sounded more like a seal, I think.
I'm not wrong.
Expensive.
I'm not.
Some things are better.
Okay, so is this one a factor?
No.
No, so you gotta put a no.
What makes it factor?
Gosh. If it has 0 for a remainder, then it divided evenly, and yes, it is a factor. Okay, so all these coefficients are the same. -2 is in the box. Yeah. Even though it's not too hard, it's kind of easy to make a mistake also.
Shown by me. I need your eraser. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll write the problem.
Okay, so is this a factor?
Yes.
One problem with having no eraser. So you always make the most mistakes. Am I wrong?
Alright, moving on. Number 9, another section. Okay, use the rational root theorem, which we haven't talked about yet, to list the possible rational zeros for each polynomial function. That probably sounds like a bunch of gobbledygook. Let's start with what does rational mean?
1, 2, 3, 4.
No, those are natural.
What did you say?
What's rational mean? Basically anything that can be written as A over B, where A and B are integers. So it's pretty much
Fractions?
anything except for like pi or square root of 3 or something like that. Most things are rational. So if it has a normal answer, which sometimes, remember, polynomials don't.
Oh.
It's because he has the
Oh.
Oh, stop.
No, it's not. It's because if you touch it barely, it writes. If you touch it broadly, it erases. And if you touch it medium, it scrolls. What was I talking about?
Roots.
Rational.
Oh, rationals. So it's like 3/4, -7/3, 8, because 8 is like 8 over 1. It's just like normal answers. Remember when we were doing like quadratic formula, like we would get irrational answers, something like that, quite a bit. But if there is a rational answer, this can help you find it, okay? Let's see, x cubed plus, no, yes, x cubed. I'm just copying the problem down right now. Okay, so what you do, everybody watching is kind of important. You take the last coefficient over the first coefficient. So 6 over 1. And you want to do you actually want to do the factors of the last coefficient over the factors of the first coefficient. So what's the factors of 6?
2 and 3.
And 1, 2, 3, and 6. I usually put them in order, just it doesn't matter. But and what's the factors of 1? 1. Okay, so the possible rational roots are 1 over 1, 2 over 1, 3 over 1, 6 over 1, which would be 1, 2, 3, 6. Okay, here's the thing. Not only does 2 and 3 go into 6, but also -2 times -3 goes into 6, or -1 times -6. So these could all be positive or negative.
What's your favorite part?
Wow, so you just pretty much take the last number and then...
Factors of the last number over factors of the first. And
Yeah.
plus or minus on all of them. Okay. These are possible zeros of the function. Do you guys remember what zeros meant?
Where it crossed the X.
Where yeah, it's the x-intercept, but it's also what values would make the function equal to 0. So we could like plug these in and figure out which one actually works. But this is new. They're also called roots. Zeros, roots, same thing. It doesn't ask us to. I should probably tell you guys though that if it's a cubic function, like if the biggest power is to the third, normally there should be 3 answers to that function. And I say normally, there are exceptions, we'll talk about that later. But if it's like an x to the 4th, there would be 4 answers, x squared. Remember when we did quadratic equations, you normally had 2 answers. Okay, number 11. Okay, 11 is short and sweet. Okay, so it's factors of the last over factors of the first. So factors of 8 over factors of 1. What are factors of 8? 1, 2, 4, and 8. What are factors of 1? So it's 1 over 1, 2 over 1, 4 over 1, 8 over 1, or 1, 2, 4, 8.
Is it
Plus or minus every time. Because factors of 8 could be positive or negative. Or factors of 1 could be positive or negative. So negatives are also.
So if it's a factor of negative 8, you still do plus
Okay,
or
factors of negative 8 could be like 4 times negative 2,
minus?
negative 4 times 2, so it's still plus or minus. Doesn't matter.
And
It's a good
what
question.
happens if there's another number, like on the denominator? What happens
Okay,
That happens on 12, actually.
yeah, I'm gonna make up a problem like number 12.
Or you could do.
No, I can't. I'm physically unable. Okay, so there, I'll put a minus 5 on the end. So, your job is number 12, not mine. Okay, so it's factors of 5, and doesn't really matter that this is negative. I can't see.
Everyone watch that video.
Oh yeah, you're at 100 subscribers.
Really? We're like at 87
We should skip that.
Free day, free day.
100 sub special. Double the homework.
Mr. Jordan, do the
A
same
2-hour video. What?
Do the same podium as Mr. O'Dell.
It's just a music stand, but you know.
What screws does it have?
What kind of screws are there?
But is it the same one?
Yeah, it's the same.
Wait, we should loosen his
It's just
podium.
a.
We've already talked about that.
Like 5 times.
You're on video, so.
Good gosh.
We know it. So,
We should.
this is not.
Just announce it.
This is not number 12, but it's like number 12. So it's factors of 5 over factors of 4. It does not matter that 5 is negative. Okay, what are the factors of 5?
1, 5.
Factors of 4. 2. Okay, so you do 1 over 1, 5 over 1. 1 over 2, 5 over 2. Whoops. And 1 over 4, 5 over 4. Okay, this is not number 12,
Right.
but it's very similar.
I'm gonna need that eraser again, Leo.
I'm just gonna give you a pencil.
Totally didn't write all of that down. Wait, actually, I just have to change the 5 to a 7. Gasp.
Top secret. It's top secret.
Listen,
Are you kidding me?
I didn't even know you talked
You
about
said it
this.
so loud.
We've
Why
talked
would
about
you
it like
say
4
that
times.
loud? Yeah. These classrooms are like right there. He goes off.
I hope Mr.
I
Otis
hope he
walks
feels
by and
bad.
drives Santa.
I don't know what makes you think I won't drag you out.
When did we talk about it? When was it this class?
Then I wasn't even
He could have known.
Okay,
Maybe you guys talked about it in art or something.
number
We
13.
did.
Shh. Okay, number 13 says find f of 3. What does f of 3 mean?
You plug in.
You put 3 into the function, see what it equals. Okay, but the difference is they want us to use synthetic division. It's called, in this case, it would be called synthetic substitution. So let me write it down. It says 4x cubed minus 10x squared. Lost my place. Minus 26x plus 60. Okay, so normally to solve this, we would just put 3 in for all these x values, right? Just whatever it equals. So, but the new thing is that you can actually use synthetic to do this. But you don't put the opposite of the number in this case, you just put the actual number in, 3. And then just use all those normal things. And then the number that comes out at the end is the answer. So yeah, show your work. Add down 4, multiply up. Okay. So f of 3 is 0. If we plugged it in normally, you could kind of check it that way and make, but yeah, it equals 0. But also this tells me that x, by the way, we kind of need this for later. That also tells me that x minus 3
Equals.
is a factor of this, like it would divide evenly. You don't need to say that. Just the answer on this one though is just 0. So 3 is a 0 of the function because it makes it equal 0, and x minus 3 is a factor of the function. Okay, 15, same thing. Second verse, same as first. 1/2 in the box. 4, -5, -2, 9. Oh, something's different on 15.
What?
What is different on 15?
Oh, 0.
Well, not, yeah, but not that part. 15 is missing an x cubed term.
See.
So I added so it went from x to the 4th to x squared, so I added a 0 as a placeholder.
Like that long division is hard.
I'm guessing that's gonna happen on the even somewhere, but I'm not 100% sure. What'd you say? Long division is hard?
Well, with the 0, it only does that. It's hard for
Yeah.
long division.
Yeah. Alright, so add down, multiply times a half. What's half times 4 is 2, times that is 1. Okay, this is, the B section is where it really ramps up.
Oh.
Because there's just a lot of steps, you'll see in a second. So it says use the remainder factor and rational root theorem, all the theorems above, to completely factor each polynomial. So normally when we were factoring, it's like in the past, it's been a quadratic function or quadratic equation. But yeah, we're going to have to use the rational root theorem to find like what the roots are, what numbers work. Okay. Anyway, it starts like kind of like number 9. What are the possible? I'm gonna write all this down because I'm gonna need to reference it all. So I'll just write it all down. X cubed minus 5x squared Okay, do you guys remember, how do we find the possible rational roots for this?
The last over the first.
Right, that part, yeah. Factors of 8 over factors of 1. These are called coefficients, by the way. Factor of the last coefficient and factors of the first. I feel like we already did 8 and 1, but yeah, anyway, it's 1, 2, 4, and 8 over 1. So it's
It's the same as number 9, it's just instead of a 6, there's an 8.
well, it's the same as number 11, exactly. But the difference is now that we are actually solving it.
Mm.
What?
So is that one of your answers?
No, it's more like step number 1.
Step one.
Yeah, step 1. So the second question is, are these zeros of this function? In other words, do they make this function equal 0? So you can plug it in normally, or you can use the synthetic. Eventually we're going to need to use synthetic. But so if I plug in 1, that's kind of easy actually. 1 cubed is 1 minus x squared. 1 squared is 1. So this should just be minus 5. 2 times 1 is 2. So 1 minus 5 plus 2 plus 8, is that equal to 0? No. So 1 is not a 0 function. If I plug in negative 1, that would be negative 1, this would be plus 5, this would be minus 2. No, I thought negative 1 was an answer. It was. What did I do wrong? Negative 1 plus 5, or no, there's a minus right there. Okay, anyway, yeah, it does equal 0. So, negative 1's an answer. I'm going to kind of redo that using synthetic, and I'll explain why here in a minute. So I know negative 1 is an answer, so this should come out as 0 at the end. So, yep. Alright, bye.
Is this a 2-day thing?
It's a half day, so. There she is.
Oh.
Clueless.
Hey! How'd you guys call him?
Everybody go watch that video.
You're right, I know.
Like and subscribe. A lot has happened.
Like and subscribe.
I hope a lot of people were joining the first
If
one.
Addie ever finds this YouTube
Did you
channel.
see her this week?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Sarah
I like
was
pointed,
like,
is that
flirting with
her?
the whole time.
She said Leo asked. And then whenever she
So did
found
I.
it.
Leo,
Yeah.
did you talk to her?
No, I was like pointing like, is that her? And she knew I was talking about her. And she told Sam, I hate you.
Leo broke them up. Alright, what are we doing? Okay. So, negative 1 is an answer. I don't know if you guys remember, but I said x cubed should have 3 answers normally. So there's 2 more answers we gotta kind of find. If negative 1 is an answer, that also means that x plus 1 is a factor. You guys remember back when we factored last chapter, if we factored something like this, then the answers were negative 1 and 3. I'm kind of saying that backwards. If negative 1 is an answer, I know x plus 1 is a factor. And I also know if I divide this thing by x plus 1, that this is the leftovers. So basically what I'm saying is down here, Remember this stood for x squared minus 6x plus 8. This contains the last two answers. Just this little quadratic right here. So it's kind of like I found one of the answers, I divided it out, and my last two answers are hidden in here. You could keep plugging stuff in up here, but it's easier if you just, since this is a quadratic equation, we can just factor like we did last chapter, or quadratic formula if we have to. You guys know how this one factors? What multiplies into 8 that adds up to -6?
-2 and -4.
And what x values make this equal to 0?
2 and 4.
Okay, so normally they usually ask what the zeros are, and that would be these three things. However, the directions said factor the polynomial. So the factored polynomial would be basically this, but throw in the x plus 1 from earlier. So this is actually the answer that they wanted. That's a lot, isn't it? It's not quite as bad as it seems. There's just a lot of steps. Oh my word. Okay, let's try again with 19. We're gonna stop after 19 today. Yes. All right. So, what are the possible rational roots on 19? How do we find the possible rational roots on 19?
Last coefficient over the
Yeah, what he said. So that thing. So factors of 27 over factors of 1. What goes into 27?
3 and 9. 27.
Yeah, that's actually all of them. And factors of 1 are 1. So it's 1, 3, 9, 27. So if I plug in 1, I'm trying to get this equal to 0. I get 1 plus 9 plus 27 plus 27. That is a large number and it's not 0. Actually, since all these terms are positive, if I just plug in a positive, there's no way it's going to work, because a positive plus positive plus positive plus positive is going to be a bigger positive. So it has to be a negative. That's what I'm saying. Did you guys follow that? Okay. Well, if you didn't follow it, just keep plugging stuff in until it works. So there's no way positive 1 could have worked. Negative 1 cubed, negative 1 squared, negative 1. Okay, so this is 8. So negative 1 doesn't work also. There's no way 3 is going to work. It'll make a gigantic number. But negative 3, because I remember the answer, is going to work. I'm going to go ahead and do synthetic division here. This is kind of to check, it's two things at once. I'm checking to see if negative 3 is an answer, and I'm seeing if this divides by x plus 3. So I'm trying to divide at the same time. That's what makes this confusing. All right, so add down, multiply it, down. Surprise, surprise, surprise. It works. That tells me negative 3 is an answer. It tells me is a root or a 0 or whatever. It tells me x plus 3 must be a factor. And it tells me what's left after I divide by x plus 3. X squared plus 6x plus 9. You like how my 6 is like a curlicue? Are you jealous? Yeah, it is. I me too. Alright, so does this factor, what multiplies into 9 that adds up to 6? 3 and 3. Okay. So,
So it's just x plus 3, x plus 3, x plus 3.
so what are the x values?
Negative 3 and
Negative 3, negative 3, negative 3. Okay, remember I said normally there's like 3 answers, but in this case, all 3 answers are the same one answer. It's called a triple root, or you could have a double root or quadruple root, but it's the same answer 3 times. So yeah, it's x plus, it's negative 3, one answer. Factored, it would be x plus 3 times x plus 3 times x plus 3, or x plus 3 cubed. Okay, if that's a little bit fuzzy, that's okay. That's kind of what I expect. We'll work on it some more tomorrow. But for today, why don't you guys try the A section, the much easier part, and we'll work on it tomorrow.